Hi everyone present here. My name is Veda Dean, and as Kushila earlier introduced, I'm the co-founder and COO of Panda Wolf Holding. Started as a startup, now we've graduated into a group of different subsidiaries, namely into the sector of cultural tourism and social media. There is also entertainment, edutainment, and environment. This is something that we club together under Eco Warriors, one of our subsidiaries, which I'll be giving a presentation today also about. There is also a recent initiative that we took into agro industry, which again will be revealed to you later as a part of this presentation. And apart from being just the co-founder of our own whole executive C-level business managers or the CEOs about empathical values, because today the entire world has been changing from a linear approach in terms of just running things by logic, but also governing towards how you can actually build your entire team in an empathic manner so that they don't just stay with you for the sake of working, but also grow with you as your company grows. So these are the kind of expertise that I am here to share with you, but more specifically today, I'm going to talk about the relevance of ecopreneurship in today's world. To begin with, let me just share my screen with you all. So let's dive in directly into the topic of eco-entrepreneurship. Before we begin, I will just share with you couple of the details. I've also gained a couple of different awards in terms of the Female Role Model of the Year by the Southern Africa Startup Awards in 2019. I'm also a 2 times Women in Tech Global Startup Awards winner, consecutively won it this year as well. And I also help any other startups or companies that may be attending today to form solid B2G connections, business to your government, and how to actually sell your startup ideas for the benefit of national interest, whether it's in terms of Mauritius or India or any other countries for that matter. Now coming towards what we're going to learn into this masterclass, how to actually know if you're an ecopreneur. There are a lot of businesses that come with sustainability and green initiatives, but it's not necessarily that you're an eco-entrepreneur to deal with that business. You may have certain eco-warrior principles, but not necessarily ecopreneurship. So how do you actually know before you begin whether you're an eco-entrepreneur or not? Moving further, you also need to assess as to whether your solution or your product or your service is actually eco-friendly. It may appear as a nice to be ecological solution, but producing it is not necessarily the right kind of eco-friendly means that you're producing your product or delivering your service. And in terms of its relevances, why do you need to be an ecopreneur in today's world? And obviously, how do we start? Everybody stops at this very first step. All of us have millions of ideas, but none of us know exactly where to start and how do we do it. We just have basic ideas, but I'll definitely help you guys to understand how can we begin all of the processes that you may need help with. And obviously, we'll also share with you a couple of examples that we've already implemented in Mauritius as a part of our holding. And if at any given moment, anybody would need clarity on any of the specific slides or topics I'll be discussing, please do not hesitate to drop your questions during the presentation in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer it as and when we go, because I do understand that ecopreneurship as a topic, it's very new and very recent. So if you may at any moment have specific doubts, please feel free to drop in your questions during the presentation itself. It's not necessarily you hold on to the end of the presentation, but either ways I can answer them. Moving further, I'm just gonna address and adjust my screen so that everybody can see it well. Kushila, can you just confirm you're able to see the screen properly?
Yes, I am able to.
Okay, perfect. So let's dive into it. For all of you attending here today, what does ecopreneurship actually mean? So by definition, yes, it's a multi-level process. You have to discover what actually is the problem. You create the solution according to that problem. And obviously at the end of the day, as every business perspective, it it runs onto revenue. So that's what you exploit, but your solution is in line with all of the environmental changes, and it's not really harming your direct environment, neither indirectly. So in short, it just means that you as an eco entrepreneur are actually creating and exploiting a solution which is a benefit for everybody and is in line with nature. That's in short what eco entrepreneurship means. We can go by different definitions. Now, obviously, as a person, as an individual, you will put yourself into this perspective to understand, are you actually an eco entrepreneur? You may be recycling, let's say, your old cloth bags. You may be recycling your household waste. You may be, for instance, walking down the road. If you're a smoker, do not throw your buds onto the road. That does not necessarily mean that you're an eco entrepreneur. You're an eco warrior. There's a big difference into these both. So what actually eco entrepreneur does is they find solutions to the existing problem in nature, and the solutions, the way they are developed, whether it's a service or whether it's a product, they've been developed in a certain manner. The entire processing is done in such a way that it is very eco-friendly. For instance, let's just talk about the IT parks that we have across the world today. IT parks consume a lot of electricity, and those electricity are generated from, let's say, distilled batteries. Now, diesel-based batteries as well. Now, these obviously is actually causing the pollution towards your entire environment because of the diesel, the dialysis of the entire batteries. On the other hand, if your solution is to replace the entire IT park with solar panels, and you're able to generate the solar energy to power up all of your computers or your processors and servers, this is an eco-entrepreneurial initiative. So I hope it makes sense. Is everybody understanding the gist of it? What does eco-entrepreneurship actually mean? Any kind of questions anybody has? Is it clear? You can just type a yes into the chat so that I'm aware that you'll have been in line with what I've been trying to explain. Okay, I think there's nothing popping up, so I think everything is clear. So that's basically what eco-entrepreneurship means. It does not necessarily mean that you're starting a recycled product. It basically, from the start to finish, your entire process is in line with all of the ecological factors that you've been taken in consideration of. How are you manufacturing it? How are you producing it? Where are you sourcing the materials to forming your entire product or even your services that you're delivering? This is all an entire process that has been umbrella branched under the word eco-entrepreneurship. Obviously, everybody today is, the culture they have as budding entrepreneurs. And as a part of entrepreneurship, you might already be knowing that you're looking into innovation and implementing certain specific processes, but also it's in line with business and revenue making concepts. Now, how to know whether you're an ecopreneur? When you look at your businesses that you are actually trying to mold or you're trying to serve to a specific market, you obviously look at your entire business plan. When you're working through your business plan, you need to know whether your business supports green values. The value that your consumer receives is the green value. For instance, your initiative might be really great, but is your business and your consumer, your end customer who's going to actually consume your service or your product, are they actually having a green value to your service? For instance, in this case, the example would be, let's say, recycling companies. There have been a lot of recycling companies that have been popping up in Mauritius. Now, there have been a couple of gimmicks to this, knowing that Mauritius is a small island and there are a lot of people who want to actually make it an ecological island. However, looking at the reality of things, there are a lot of businesses who have sustainability in their mind, but it's not necessarily that they acquire the green values. Meaning that recycling companies, today, you have to end up paying as a consumer to recycle your, let's say, household waste or any kind of corporate waste that you have. Now, this necessarily may not be having a green value towards your consumer. That means that at the end of the day, to actually reduce your trash, you're ending up paying. So that's not really feasible for a customer to, okay, I am trying to recycle my trash. Why isn't it being done for free? And why is it that you have to pay for a specific trash to be done? It's because, okay, there is certain kind of manual labor that is there trying to segregate your trash or sort it out. However, into different parts of the world, especially if I can take a very real example that we've already implemented in India, what we've done is there have been recycle hubs set everywhere across a city, Pune, for example, where everybody comes and deposits all of your household trash for free. You don't have to pay for it. The consumer is obviously seeing that, okay, I have a recycling bin in front of me, plastic or paper or can, whatever you recycle. Once you recycle, the recycling company takes this trash for free. And once you do that, it is more important for the companies who would be more interested with the trash to understand what kind of plastic has been consumed, what kind of food products that have been consumed, what is the consumption pattern of each and every person into the household. These are the kind of sequences that you need to identify into your business. Now, if your business plan has an entire structure from start to finish of to taking care of waste scenario, for example, in terms of the recycling industry, then you are an ecopreneur. If your business has a long-term sustainable value, yes, you're thinking about supporting similar kind of businesses as a part of your CSR initiative, it's just one time. Beach cleaning doesn't count because let me try to tell you why. You may clean the beach one day today, you're just exhausting your energies, which is not eco-friendly at all. You also need to, consider your health. So that's not necessarily the right way or right approach to go towards sustainability. It might be really nice for the marketing and campaigning, but at the end of the day, beach cleaning for one day doesn't solve a problem. The sustainable value could be into your company, for instance, one of the steps that your entire organization might take, that as from today, we are no more going to use microwaves for heating, for instance. We're just going to use one single solution where we're going to go for a walk to the park, everybody sits down together, have a quickly served meal into a restaurant. I know COVID doesn't allow at this moment, but wherever possible, try to implement in such a way so that you're not already gathering trash into your premises. Moreover, if ever you're trying to talk about, let's say, recycling paper, try to shift everything online. This is a very minimal step that anywhere any one of us can start taking towards adding a long-term sustainable value. You are anywhere reducing the uses of paper. You are, fastly automated just because of the advantage of online transformation to your company. These are the one of the things that would add towards your long-term sustainable values in your business. Now, does your solution fit into a void that is already around your market? Then you're an ecopreneur. For instance, to give you a very real example, starting again with the recycling, the reason I'm taking recycling as an example in Mauritius is because it's very new, and I believe that a lot of you can already, relate to it, because there have been a lot of products also that have been coming up. There have been ecological bamboo products, there have been bamboo straws, etc. But not necessarily all of them are still eco-friendly. Now, in terms of off-the-shelf products, such as, you want straws, you want paper cups, you want biodegradable plastics, all of this that is available, it's a commercial gap that you're identifying. Of course, at every business, if you're an ecopreneur, you think, yes, you're saving the nature, which is, again, in business perspectives, nice to have, but not necessarily strong enough for your business to function. So in terms of a charity-based approach towards business-minded approach, you need to also differentiate what kind of gap your product or your service is fulfilling into the entire market, wherever you're located. Moreover, recycling of plastic. There have been a couple of I would say small businesses that have been coming in Mauritius that have been implementing recycling initiatives. There have been recycling machines to do it. I know a certain companies that recycle electronic waste. It does cost a lot to recycle electronic waste, but at the end of the day, in order to remove each and every part of that e-waste, as we call it, you are actually consuming a lot of electricity on the back end to try to clean up the entire object, to remove each and every part of it, to separate it. At the end of the day, maybe you can find specific rare metals that you can extract out of the electronic waste. So maybe your solution may seem to the audience that it is really green, but it's not necessarily green, because at the end of the day, to produce this end result, you're already polluting a lot at the back. So that's something that you need to be also wary of when you're looking to fit into the market and to fit your solution to address the problem that's been existing into your market. And of course, to be an eco-entrepreneur, you really need a lot of patience. You need passion. You also need a lot of courage, because a lot of people, even to today, are not ready to accept that you can actually make a thriving business out of ecology, in the sense. So this is what you need to also know, whether to identify yourself as an ecopreneur or you're just an entrepreneur. So these are the key takeaways that you need to assess and analyze before you dive into any idea, whether you're actually going onto the eco way or you're going onto the business way. Does that make it clear? I think I can see it. Okay, now. All right, it's clear. Okay, let's just move on to the next one. Like I was explaining earlier, how eco-friendly is my solution? Now, there has been a recent trend into achieving sustainable development goals. It's very fascinating to see that a lot of startups and companies have been coming forward with, hey, okay, I'm meeting SDG 10, I'm meeting SDG 9, I'm ending poverty. Are you really? This is what you need to ask your business. At the end of the day, when we are talking about aligning our business goals and our ambitions with sustainable goals, at a given point in time, your excitation of achieving these goals might actually be so stronger than the actual work that has been achieved. Meaning that in terms of the sustainable development goals that, let's say, for instance, the UN put up, there is a specific UN SDG tracker that you can also look at, which will actually allow you to assess. There's a link that I will share with Kushila afterwards. Maybe she can share it with the entire audience, whoever is interested into eco-entrepreneurship, to really assess whether your solution, your business, or your product, anything to do with ecology that your solution is, to whether it is actually meeting a specific criteria. And over a period of 3 months consecutively, it's been able to eliminate one specific spectrum of that goal. So for instance, if you have SDG 9, I believe it's industry, innovation, and infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken. Into that, you have, okay, 9.1, are you eliminating use of paper, for instance, and it's been 3 consecutive years, you have no paper at all. That's when your solution is starting to get eco-friendly. Now, in terms of a couple of products that we've been very synonymous with, you've been seeing there's bamboo toothbrush, there has been a charcoal face mask for women, there has been bamboo straws, there's been paper straws everywhere. Everybody of us know the amount of times we've been requesting for paper straws when you go to a restaurant to sip your cool martini, for example. Paper straws are actually polluting more. The very reason being because when you are actually using the paper straw, the lifetime of that paper straw is not even more than 5 minutes. The moment you put it into your glass of water or anything that you're sipping onto, it's going to start disintegrating because it's purely made of paper. And in order for you to have a proper user experience through that paper straw, you cannot add chemicals to it, because at the end of the day, it's not an eco-friendly solution. You probably might as well end up poisoning your customers, which you don't want that. So these are the kind of practices we need to be very careful of. instead of just starting everything made out of wood for the sake of promoting 100% natural products, this is something we need to stop immediately, because we are harming the environment more than we are thinking that we're doing good. So that's how you need to identify. Now, on the other hand, whether your product has been 100% sourced from wood, the wood that has been not really utilized from cutting out teak trees around the entire ebony forest in Mauritius, for example, um, taking care of that. And on top of that, maybe you're not making banana plates out of expensive industrial machines, which are giving out CO2 every single day and polluting this beautiful island. Then no, your product is not at all eco-friendly. It may appear eco-friendly to your consumer, but you are polluting, and because of your pollution, it's appearing eco-friendly. So it's not really the case. You need to be very careful about how eco-friendly your solution is. And obviously, to have a reasonable SDG index, I really urge everybody to go and try before you even get into your production phase, to actually just assess with your prototype or any kind of sandbox idea that you may have, whether your product or solution actually has a reasonable SDG index. And that can be done through the UN SDG tracker. It allows you to have an impact assessment as to, from the start of making your product to the finish, where the consumer consumes it and either throws it away or it's gone forever or dissipated, where does that product end? This is your entire impact assessment. This is something that you can really do any time of the day, and it's free for everybody to use. So that's something that you can have a look at. It will definitely give you an insight as to whether your solution or your business idea is actually eco-friendly or not. Does that make sense? Any questions? I don't think there's any questions. I think everybody's clear. So let's move on. Okay. So when I believe, I think a couple of weeks ago, Kushida sent me the request about this specific topic as to what is the relevance of being an eco-entrepreneur in today's world. To be very honest, I was really shocked. Like, I mean, okay, do you seriously have these questions today as to why do you need to be an ecopreneur today? There's no second doubt about it, because firstly, we need to understand this is one planet that we're living in, and there are billions of people today. And for the amount of resources that are available on planet Earth, there are just too many people. And we do not have enough resources to fulfill the need of each and every individual, like you or like me, like everybody else, all of us. Now, in order to serve your communities better and to find sustainable solutions so that you don't end up using the resources that you already have left onto Earth, which is why you need to be an ecopreneur, because your solution is not only generating the revenue factor and feel good win-win situation for every other person, but it's also not harming your direct environment. Because this is how you can actually allow your consumers to feel close to you, to your brand, to your service, to your business, that you're not only at the end caring about the environment, but in return, you're also caring about all your consumers that are consuming these products. Obviously, when you look at today in 2022, everybody is an eco-entrepreneur because they're either recycling or they are, very fascinated about nature products. But again, it's very, very crucial in today's time, especially, to have clear understanding as to what is ecopreneur, eco warrior, and also what is sustainability. Now, obviously, every business, if you've been able to hack the key as to how to govern these different aspects and put in line with being an eco-entrepreneur without harming your environment, definitely your sales growth, I'm sure it will not lie to you. This is a really good business to be in 2022. In terms of business perspective, definitely there are a lot of gains into it, whether in terms of edutech based onto environment, whether it's just recycling activities you're doing with the kids into the school, or anywhere else for that matter. As an organization, any kind of team buildings which are governed across the ideology of eco-entrepreneurship, all of that will definitely yield a good revenue for your business. And obviously, one of the surveys that we had done with a couple of our women customers for one of our brands, which I will showcase to you shortly, 65% of them had said that they would be more interested in, buying a product which had a purpose behind the brand. And the purpose, they wanted it to be aligned with nature, because today's world, with all of the COVID and the pandemic, the world is going in opposite direction. Nobody is really thinking anymore into the linear direction. Okay, work, we need to do this, we need to set your business principles right. No, it's been actually driven towards more empathetical point of view. I don't know if I'm using the word right, empathy based, let's just call it that way. Many individuals and many brand company owners and brand drivers have been actually moving towards the purpose and passion driven brands, and their ideology is also hardwired in terms of coming back to the earth or giving back to the nature and taking it back from him. So it's actually become a give and take relationship, that when you look at a tree, you actually also are assuming yourself in connection to that very tree. So it's actually, we're coming back to our roots, if you would put it in that sense, in a philosophical manner, that many of the businesses are driving in that direction. So definitely, if you want to be an eco-entrepreneur, and this is very relevant today with all of the climate crisis that is going on, the kind of resources, the lack of main material resources that are around, this is why you need to be an eco-entrepreneur. It's good for business. It'll give you great revenue. Definitely, everybody wants their business to have great revenue. And obviously, your product is in line with your direct environment and you're not harming it. So this is why you also need to be an entrepreneur, and it's very relevant today. And if not today, you're already too late if you're trying to catch the train next year onwards. Where to start? Okay, obviously we all have had points where we either procrastinate about one idea till the time it's so absolute that we've already late to start. So to understand as to where we can start very small. You don't really have to do a lot of big things. You don't need to really rush. Oh, okay, go to the registrar, register your idea, register your patent. Yes, it is important. But before you go and dive into all of that, assess your own environment first. And it starts with your own individual self. To what extent are you consuming, let's say, plastic, for instance? To what extent are you going environmentally friendly into your own house? It's not necessary that suddenly we finish this webinar and you end up buying 3 different bins for your house to recycle waste. That's not what we need to do. We just need to understand that, okay, I've been trying to go into the house and I have all of my lights of the house on when nobody's there. Simply switch it off. I know that earlier days, since we've been small, our mothers and fathers have been telling us, okay, don't leave the room light on. We've been just leaving it on all the time, but that's a very simple practice that it actually allows you to save energy. It allows you to not pollute onto the larger scale by just doing one simple action. You're actually giving out an example to the other people. So you need to really demonstrate your commitment towards sustainability. If you're starting it, if you're that committed, I don't see why every other people in your environment won't follow your example towards the commitment that you set up. Obviously, it might be very difficult to start in the organization. So when you're assessing your entire consequences as to what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to suddenly tell all of your employees or your teams to tell them, okay, tomorrow we stop buying year 2022 books for our employees. Let's just try to have our Google Sheets or try to have our Word documents. It's not that you suddenly need to go gradually directly that far, but thinking about this initiative is really great. I definitely know it's not easy to start, because even we've had roadblocks when we've been implementing this. Today, we do not use paper at all into our institutions. The only times we get papers is by post, and that too we've been literally tearing it apart, and we've been literally burying it onto a land so that it just degrades. So all of these small practices, it might be very annoying that you have to keep taking the initiatives all the time to, keep doing these small actions of eco-warriorness. But at the end of the day, keep in mind that having this entire open mind changes your entire perspective towards your direct working environment. And obviously, you are the trendsetter. You are an entrepreneur. You're an eco-entrepreneur. And nobody knows that best than you do, because the amount of time that you try to put into it, the time of patience that you have, because specifically you're dealing with ecology. And when you're dealing with ecology, you cannot really force your logical principles to fit into nature. You have to fit into nature the way nature is. So that's something very important that we need to understand. So when you talk about starting small, start anywhere you can, whether it is with yourself, whether it is at your work environment, wherever you spend most of your time, either eating or either sleeping or either living. I know a couple of people still stay till late at co-working sometimes. So if that's the place that you spend most of your time with, try to assess in your environment, what is it that you can implement as change? Start it right there. Nobody is going to stop you. You can actually go do that. If you do that, one person will follow you, the other person will follow the other person, and it just keeps on continuing as a chain domino effect. And that's just how you need to start. There is no big magical trick up the sleeve that, okay, you need to set up a business plan, you need to then plan it. Yes, it's a part of the process, but in order to start the change starts with you. If you're not changing, your environment is not going to change. So it's as simple as that. Now, these are the examples I'm going to share with you, what we have done. Like I had previously explained to you, one of our subsidiaries is Eco Warriors. Now, what is Eco Warriors? I'll explain this because it's just beyond a mobile game. Eco Warriors started as a first ever educational mobile game, which was under the UNESCO patronage, which teaches kids basically about education about what they learn into their schools, whether in terms of environmental classes. There's also recycling management, etc. The game is available for children between 6 to 11 years old, and in the country of Mauritius and Rodrigues Island. And all of the entire story, right from the start to finish, it's based onto their pedagogical activities they carry in their school during their environment class. So whatever subject and environment that they're studying, all the characters and all the depictions and everything that they read and learn, is the game is actually based onto that. And that's the game that we developed. Now that's the phase one of it. We've already penetrated into the education sector. We started there. Now, why children? Is because it's very simple. Children see and the children do. That's what children are good for. That's how they're becoming the best learners. They observe what we're doing and they learn that and they do it. So this is how we implemented Eco Warriors, minimum 2 hours per week into all of the schools. It's already present in all of the school tablets in RCEA schools and the public schools across the island. And it's available free to download. Anybody who would like to try to play it and see, please feel free to download it on Play Store or App Store. I've seen a lot of youth playing it more than kids. So maybe you might like it as well if you're a gamer. So you can try that. Now, the phase two. What happens when the kids learn this game? The kids obviously want to, it's a couple of reports that we had gathered from the schools as to how the reaction of the kids were. The kids were literally shouting at the teacher, telling her, please do not throw that trash, else there's a rat who's going to come into our class. That the very reason the kids said that was because in Eco Warriors was actually showed that if you're going to trash and not collect the trash and put it into the bin, there are going to be rats, there are going to be bats. These are the main animals in the Mauritian island. And that's how you're actually polluting your environment. And the kids were very prompt and responding to the teachers saying that, please don't trash the class. And this was one of the RCEA schools somewhere around Catterbon that the kids were very much eager to play the game. Now, again, coming to the step 2 of this game. Once they've learned this game for a couple of 6 to 8 months, they've been following it every day. We installed recycling bins across all these schools. We have a couple of partners who've helped us achieve this, and we've put across recycling bins into all of the schools where we are testing whether the kids actually implement that or not. And they were immediately able to recognize the bins, which were the same design that was into the game. So the next time the kids knew, hey, it's paper, I'm going to throw it into the green bin for the paper. They started to implement this after observing, being entertained by it. They tried to implement it in real life, and they still continue to do so. If ever you pass by any of your public or RCE schools, you will see Eco Warriors been present into your kids' schools. If anybody of y'all are parent here and have kids, you will see Eco Warriors bins are present in their school. Now, coming to the 2.5 phase of this. Once the kids exchange trash, in return, they are going to get a reward system. The reward system is a comic book that, for a very limited edition, that we had started to try and see whether they were interested. This is an incentive for the kid to come and bring more of his household waste and come deposit it into the school. So every month, end of the month, the children were asked to get minimum 5 kg of household waste, excluding, of course, glass pieces and metal cans, just so for the sake of the children not being harmed or hurt by it. So we were basically collecting plastic and paper waste. So they come to school end of the month, bring 5 kg of plastic and paper waste at home. Whilst they were doing this, we were surveying the parents as to how their reaction was. It was very insightful for us to know that the kids were telling the parents, do not throw the trash. Please keep it for me. I want to collect it. That's when it started to kick off. The kids started to collect all of the trash. At the end of the month, they were bringing it to the school to deposit 5 kg of trash in Eco Warriors bins. Why? Because they got a reward for exchanging the trash. So when you exchange the trash, you get a comic book which is based onto the game characters as well as the pedagogical stuff that you were learning into the school. And suddenly the kids' interest into the environmental studies that you have only 2 hours per week was very much increased, and their interest grew. And we had more than 72% retention onto the games on average per day, even during the confinement. And that's how we had implemented the phase 2, 2.5 of Eco Warriors. Now, obviously, you will ask me, what happens with the trash? Do we export it like everybody else does right now from Mauritius towards other countries where it could be recycled? No, that's actually going to cause you pollution because you're exporting it from one place to the other. What we are doing with the trash is we have the data value optimization chain that we've developed where we analyze this trash, and today we get to know the consumption patterns of all the individuals into the household. Today, with this data, we are able to derive and understand whether you're going to have diabetes in 6 months because you've been eating fromage Kraft every single day, or you're going to be having hypersensitivity just because you've been drinking sunny juice every single day. And on month average, you spend around 6,000 rupees just getting snacks and biscuits for your kids. You're going to have, insulin related or heart related issues. These are the kind of preventive measures we've been able to track just by assessing the trash. And all of that has been co-integrated through education, through environment, and through entertainment. These 3 keys have been implemented in what is today as Eco Warriors, which is now divided into Eco Warriors Educational Services, and to track the CO2 consumption and the waste related patterns for Eco Warriors Data Services. So that's one of the projects that we've already implemented since 2019 in Mauritius. Feel free to go onto the website and have a look at it. And if you guys would like to partner with us for further expansion or would like to support any kind of kids for their education program per month, whether financially or any kind of patronage you would like to provide us, please feel free to get in touch with us. We'd be more than happy to do so. And the very recent initiative we've got into is hemp eco pads. I'm pretty sure a lot of women will be very interested into this. I'm 100% sure that a lot of women have come to a realization that even in 2021, we've seen specifically in sub-Saharan African countries that there are women who have no scientific knowledge about period and menstruation and how to take care of it and what you can actually do with it. It's considered taboo. More, they do not have access to the right kind of products. They do not have the right kind of means, let's say, because in terms of talking about period poverty, which is what they're actually facing, when you talk about period poverty, we need to first understand where does this issue arise from. If you're a community which is not really earning that much and you're just earning for the sake of being into a survival mode, the priority of having sanitary pads is way down the list because that's not really your immediate priority. Now, many of us using different kind of have been cloth-made pads. They have been promoting the period cups, which are plastic-made, which is not necessarily the right kind of product for your body. It may say that, okay, it's comfortable, it's recyclable. It is recycled product, yes, but it's not eco-friendly, or it's not produced through eco-friendly means. So this is what you need to understand. How are we making the difference with the eco hemp pads is that, number one, obviously with the legalization of cannabis in India, that already start our plantations of hemp plants. I hope everybody knows the difference between the THC and the hemp and the cannabis and the entire different fiber extraction. If not, please feel free to write to us. We'll definitely give you a clarification if you need that more. So we already started with the plantation of hemp plants back in India, where we extract our own hemp fiber. The very reason because it is more absorbent than cotton and bamboo. It gets produced with very minimal means. Even if like you try to put a cannabis plant to grow anywhere into the wild, it will grow quickly. It doesn't really specifically need certain climatic conditions. It just grows anywhere. Whereas in terms of cotton or bamboo, you need additional manufacturing processing materials for you to produce the good quality cotton, or maybe protect them from different who are harvesting cotton plants have been seen to have a lot of health issues in terms of bugs and any kind of infections that they have with the plant. So these are the certain kind of issues you do not have with producing cannabis. On top of that, it's cheaper. So moreover, instead of ordering hemp fiber today, which is only available from China or Canada, we started our own production. And obviously, not just the case in India, in Africa, we also have the same case in India, that there are a lot of rural villages where women till now use harmful materials such as sawdust. You have, the coconut carcass that they take out as, sanitary measurements, which is not necessarily safe. And because of this lack of education, what we did was obviously understanding their entire monetary and consumption impact as well. We not only made them a part of the production team for all the women, because they also make hand woven pads, versus use the hemp fiber made pads in the machine factories that we have, where we don't really have machines that pollute or give out any kind of exhaustion of carbon, which is everything manual made. So this is something that we are already starting without polluting anything. Moreover, the extraction of fiber is very simple. You just sit, you break a stalk, and you're taking fibers out hand by hand. So everything is literally manually processed. So this way, They're not only forming a part of the entire process of producing the pads, but they're also actually the ones who are going to use it, and also being able to gain a certain kind of monetary freedom, which they did not have otherwise. And for the first time ever, because of the hemp fibers, this pad is going to be 100% biodegradable. You might have come across certain products in Mauritius which claim to be recyclable. Recyclable, when a specific product is named as recyclable, that means its packaging can be recyclable because it's made by paper. The cotton inside the pad could be recyclable because it does not have plant-based glucose into it. So that's what could be recycled. But the rest of the plant, the netting, etc., as you may now know how the sanitary pad is composed of different layers, none of the layers are actually degradable. They still remain into your earth and they keep polluting, either go into the oceans, either go into the land surfacing, the landfills, or either pollute somewhere else. Moreover, it actually ends up killing a lot of animals, whether it's dogs or cats, because sometimes it's left unattended and disposed of in not so eco-friendly manner. Whereas with hemp-made eco pads, they're 100% biodegradable. And for women to feel that they're in line with nature, you can actually use it. And from actually using it, you not necessarily have to throw it away into the bin. You can just make a ground pit into your backyard, dispose it off into the ground, and let all of the entire resources of the earth try to come back with it, because this is how you're actually going to make your soil fertile. So it might sound very, very, very different and unconventional, but at the end of the day, this is the brand that many women have been able to relate to, because it's purpose driven and they actually make them feel one with nature. So this is one of the recent initiatives that we've started, and it's going to be online for sales as from 2022 February. So keep a watch on that. You can either follow us on Facebook and we'll definitely give you a sample if you guys would request it anytime starting next year. And before we conclude the presentation, there was one quote that I always keep sharing with many of the people who keep asking me different questions about any topic, for instance, not just to do with ecopreneurship. They talk about the different ideas. Well, we today need to understand that there is no shortage to remarkable ideas. We might have $1 billion idea, but it will still remain an idea if you do not have a clarity about your environment and you do not have the will to execute. 99% of your entire business is all about execution. It's just 1% about idea. Ideas don't matter. It's your execution does. So if ever you have a really life-changing eco idea that you have, please sit and assess it right away. This will really give you a clarity about where that product will lead, to what issues it's going to solve. How are you going to feel about it as an entrepreneur starting it? Are you feeling in one with your own idea? If you do check all the boxes right, then please, without hesitation, just go and execute it. But if you really say that you're not sure or you don't know, take a step back. It's fine. You will have billions other ideas if that one doesn't work out. But make sure that you have a clarity and you will execute it in the right way. And that's it for me for now. And I'm open to any questions you guys may have. Feel free to let me know if there's something that I can address.